Now, what I want to start teaching you guys is how to delay and stop the ejaculation. And ladies, pay attention. You can teach other people this and share this information because it's gold. When you learn to implode your ejaculation, send it in and up, I don't know how to put it into words. It is so life-changing. It is so extraordinary. And so I've been teaching this for many years, and many guys say, why would I want to do that? What's the point? I know it feels good. Okay, so I'm a little tired, big deal. But the guys that have taken the time to learn it have all come back and said, oh my gosh, my whole life is better. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not just trying to impress you with this knowledge. This is something that will change your life when you learn it. And so the homework is to do the self-stimulation, the masturbation every day. And I'm going to teach you this in a moment, without ejaculating. And by the end of a week, if you can make it, because usually we're habituated to ejaculation and we'll get close and we'll stop and we'll forget and we'll go for the ejaculation, then we get to start over. And so you keep trying until you get to a week. But if you make it to the end of a week of self-stimulation every day without ejaculating, you're going to see that by the time you're done ejaculating, you're ready to take on, by the time you're done self-stimulating without ejaculating, you are ready to take on the world, because that energy is charging every cell. That energy is moving into your heart, into your brain, and giving you something that you haven't had before if you haven't tried this. So the idea is to practice alone for at least 20 minutes each day. And what we could say is that 100% is the ejaculation. So we want to stimulate ourselves and feel our body's response to sexual stimulation through masturbation and go to about 80%. Because as soon as you get to 90, 95%, you know what's coming, and the habit says, just go for it. It's going to feel good. I'll try again tomorrow. All right. And you miss that opportunity to learn something about what happens when you don't ejaculate. They say that at 99%, you have what's called the PNR, the point of no return. And every guy knows this. When he gets to a certain level, there's a twitch in the body and the mechanism is started and the ejaculation's coming. Even if the world implodes all around you, you're still going to ejaculate. So stay away from the point of no return by going to about 60 to 80% of arousal rate. Then stop, breathe, move the energy up, use your abdominal suction, use your root lock, and use these techniques I'm about to teach you. Then start again. And do that 3 to 5 times within 20 minutes. Take yourself to about 80%, stop the stimulation, move the energy either up through the chakras or through the microcosmic orbit that you're going to learn in a few minutes, and then start again 3 to 5 times. So as you approach orgasm, notice what's happening in your body. Because guys, if you try to learn this while making love to a woman, good luck. It's not possible. This gorgeous goddess has all this energy. And if you are not able to control your energy and she allows her energy to be very explosive, or if she moves in a certain way or makes the right sound that turns you on, game over. Then you got to start again. Now in Taoism, there's a text that says, teenage boy or young man, we could say, can ejaculate every day with no harm. A guy in his 20s should not ejaculate more than once every other day. A guy in his 30s could ejaculate about once every 2 weeks. A guy in his 40s should ejaculate no more than once a month. And from 50 on, you should stop ejaculation completely if you just want to be a regular man. If you want to evolve spiritually, save this energy all the time, except for making another human being, for creating a baby. That's how important this is. This is the liquid gold, we could say, that fuels our spiritual evolution. It's our ability to be more masculine by saving the energy rather than sneezing it out once to several times a day. And I know men that every night they're stressed from work and they're all wound up. So what do? They masturbate to go to sleep. Why? Because it knocks you out. So what you want to continue to do is this practice is on the verge of orgasm. These are the things that you can now learn to do. Stop the movement for anywhere from 10 to 20 seconds or longer. Go totally limp in your erection, in your lingam. Let it get soft and more gentle, we could say, and move that energy up. Take the focus off the genitals and you can move it into the heart, but that's a little bit too close to the genitals for the beginner. So you really want to move it up, all the way up into the third eye with the abdominal suction, with the root lock, with turning your eyes up in what's called Shambhavi Mudra, where you direct your eyes up into the center of the forehead, because when you guide your eyes, you guide your energy. In addition, you can contract and hold your PC muscle, the pubococcygeal muscle, which is actually the pelvic floor training that we're discussing. Press the $1 million point. This is a a Taoist teaching, a Taoist approach, which is sort of a last ditch effort. It's not really as good as learning how to move the energy, but if you get to the point where you're close, you can take 2 or 3 fingers and put them just in that space between the genitals and the anus, and there's a little indentation on that perineum, and you block it because that blocks the semen from coming out. But you've already had the ejaculation if you've gotten to that point, and the body will reabsorb it, but it doesn't necessarily reabsorb all the energy. So this is a very rudimentary practice that I share with you because it's taught out there in the Taoist practices, but I don't think it's as effective because it doesn't save your energy. But it's good that you know about it. Now, as you can see this little guy swimming, this is the thing that has so much energy in it, and it doesn't know if you're ejaculating by yourself or going to create a baby. So it's important to learn how to lay on your back, and when you lay on your back, gravity draws the blood away from the erection. And if you're already on your back, lift your hips with a pillow, and you can start to find different ways. It's up to you to learn a variety of techniques, experiment with them, and find out what works for you. You know, it's taken me several months, and over the course of years, I've learned a lot more about how to move my energy. So the point is to get to 80%, stop, and do these techniques to move the energy. You can also, very gently, of course, guys, you know this, pull the testes, pull the scrotum down and away from the body. Now, a woman can even do this for you if she knows that you're getting close to ejaculation. Of course, gently, we know that. But when you do that, it helps to slow down the movement towards ejaculation, because when you're about to ejaculate, the testicles get lifted up towards the body. So gently pulling them away from the body takes you away from the verge of orgasm, that point of no return. Then tense, here's a very effective one, but also something that these are beginners practices, and eventually we transcend these beginners practices and learn how to move the energy with breath, with mind, with the locks. So what you can do is tense all the muscles in your body, because as soon as you tense all the muscles in your body, the blood's going to go into the muscles, and it's going to take the blood and energy out of the genitals. You can also turn your eyes up to the third eye, as I mentioned. Now, this one you learn to do on your own. If you're going to do it in the bedroom with a lover, you better make sure that she understands why you would do that, because she may run away when you go like this and turn your eyes up. It's definitely going to freak somebody out if you start doing that and they're not expecting it.
Do it in darkness.
Well, yeah, or make sure you have someone that you're communicating with, okay? We'll talk about that more. So another thing to do is, of course, this sublimation. Always do your sublimation before, during, and after self-stimulation, before, during, and after lovemaking. Take the energy out of the genitals and move it up. If you leave it there and start, you already built up a bunch of energy there from, I don't know, being around a beautiful woman, looking at a beautiful woman, thinking of a beautiful woman, and you have all this sexual energy and you start to masturbate and do the self-pleasure, you can get to the edge very quickly. So you do some sublimation before you self-pleasure. Then you start doing the self-pleasuring practice and you move energy up while you're doing the self-pleasuring practice. And at the end, don't just leave that energy down there. Now you have this amplified energy, this extra, not extra, I want to say this increased amount of power. That's when you start putting it into the heart, the throat chakra, the third eye, into the crown, and you use this sexual energy for evolution, for healing, for awakening, for removing blockages, for so many other things than just a quick few seconds of pleasure that actually deplete you. Then, okay, we already talked about this. Make sure you understand the root lock, and this is so important. If you master the root lock, when you get towards the point of no return, you lock, you pull the stomach, you pull the lingam, the genitals, the perineum and anus, you pull it in and up. It's like a dam. It's like a door closing, and it stops the ejaculation. It stops the energy from flowing out, and you pull it in and up. And if you're good at this, you can do this when it gets very intense. Now, I had a teacher said, if you can lift that pelvic floor, the mula bandha, the root lock, for 30 minutes straight, then you can master ejaculation. And that took some time. It took about a month and a half to be able to get there. But it's not impossible, and it's not even that hard. You just have to practice every day. You just lift it up and keep it lifted. And just like lifting weights, eventually you get stronger and stronger and stronger. Then let's look at the next. Another way to do this to stop the energy from flowing out is exhale completely and hold the breath. When you stop the breath, it slows down the movement of energy in the body and mind. Very powerful yogic practice is stopping the breath for meditation, for energy, and even for physical stimulation. The other way to do it is inhale completely and hold the breath. So hold the breath, turn your third eye up, squeeze all the muscles, then you're going to stop the energy from going out. Now, these are the very physical ways of doing it, and this is what we do in the beginning. And again, this is why it's very important to have a partner that's on the path with you, because if she doesn't understand why you're doing all these weird breathings, turning your eyes up and squeezing all your muscles, you could really freak somebody out. Okay.
Communication again.
Now, another way to stop, and other ways to stop and delay ejaculation, you can place 2 fingers under the lingam and the thumb on top and squeeze. You can do this at the root towards the body or on the tip, the head. You squeeze the bottom and top, and this puts a little pressure there. You can even do it to almost a little bit of pain, and that's going to stop the energy from flowing out, and it takes away that intense physical pleasure, and it takes you back away from the edge, from the point of no return. Another way to do is to stop, another way to train this muscle and understanding of how to do it. Each time you go to the toilet to urinate for a few seconds, then stop urination, which means you have to use certain muscles to stop the flow of urination. And those are the same muscles you want to learn to stop ejaculation. So you pee, you urinate, and then you stop. You start urinating again, you stop. You start urinating again, and then you stop. And this takes a few seconds longer to go to the bathroom, so plan ahead. But the point is that you do this 2 to 4 times every time you urinate, and you start to learn to master these muscles, learn control. If you inhale deeply, and let out a sound for the exhalation, guess what? As you exhale, you're releasing energy. As you make sound, you're releasing energy. It's actually a very good way to open your throat chakra as well. And it helps us to connect to our own voice. So you might have to soundproof your walls or turn your stereo way up, but whatever it is, this is a great way to also move the energy up and away from the genitals. Sounds silly, I know, but it works. Then you can avoid positions that make you ejaculate easy. Guys, we all know that some positions turn us on more than others. Some get us closer to ejaculation faster than other positions. So in the beginning, as you're gaining this skill, avoid those ones that are just going to take you over the edge. Because as soon as you go over the edge, you have to wait to start again. And the point is to make love longer and longer and longer. Now, I know we have job and school and family. We can't always make love for 4 hours, but 5 minutes is not sufficient for a really deep connection. And it's not going to bring us to a state of enlightenment, as we talk about here, that's possible through this practice of lovemaking. I'm not saying you shouldn't make love for 5 minutes, because sometimes we don't have a lot of time, but in the morning, we want to connect each morning as much as possible. So 5 minutes can be at least a way to connect. But the point is that when you have this skill set, you can bring more pleasure, longer time for your woman to reach lovemaking orgasm, and the ability to serve her by bringing more orgasms into her life, more pleasure into her life, and the ability to meditate together while making love. So this is the skill that we learn to serve the goddess. And I know a lot of guys that just don't have enough consciousness, enough selflessness to understand the value. But even if you're not making love to a woman, you're bringing health to yourself by not losing this energy. Now, I'm not saying you have to stop ejaculating forever, but slow it down, guys. Better once a week than every day, better once a month as you get older. And at some point, you may go over the edge, and that happens, and that's okay. But come back to developing the skill.
And that's why it's very important to take time to do that. And we teach couples to make dates for that. Because when you're in between of the day and life happens, you may be just not in the mood, not focused enough to even even complete that. So having half a day, or let's say at least 2 hours for that, just agree on that. It's a date. It's appointment. Put it in your calendar together and meet and practice, and it's so rewarding.
And guys and ladies, we come to this as not just pleasure, but as a way to heal and evolve and transcend our limitations together. So like she said before, Dahlia said that, sometimes we don't even feel like making love, but we know, like, oh, that famous line, not tonight, dear, I have a headache. Well, actually, if you have a headache, if you feel low energy, if you feel like you're grumpy, in a bad mood, moving energy, especially the sexual energy through lovemaking, is the remedy. It's a therapy. So we come to this well of love and practice together to help elevate the body, energy, emotions, and mind.
And it doesn't have to be, we ladies sometimes, yeah, we do have headaches, we do have periods, we are tired, we have a child, we have family, and we come to bed and we just want to rest. And there are different ways how to do it. It doesn't have to be the normal love making. There's a beautiful book by Diana Richardson called Slow Love Making, Slow Sex, it's called, I think. And you just can connect and be quiet. You can meditate together, but it is that healing, that's connecting space for you to practice meditation and breathing together.
We're going to go much deeper into the love making next. So let's come back to the guys. And now that once you learn these skills, then we can understand how we can bring these skills into love making. So if you're feeling like the pleasure is too intense, stop focusing on yourself, okay, and focus on her. And you can do lots of things for her, with her, that take you away from the edge of ejaculation. You can communicate with her. In addition, you can change positions. Like I said, stop the flow for a moment. And one of the things that happens is we're so focused, we've trained ourselves and learned actually that orgasm is the goal. It's not the goal. Orgasm could happen or it might not. It's not what we're striving for. We are making love to share love and intimacy. And orgasms can happen as a result of doing this dance beautifully. And if an orgasm doesn't happen, it's still a beautiful dance of moving energy, connecting at the heart, gazing into each other's eyes, and all of these beautiful things that happen when we are intimate with each other. So changing positions can help us, come out of this thrust explosion pattern that we are very often habituated to. We can change the rhythm. We can go very slowly. We can even stop. Stopping is very powerful. When you stop making love, you can breathe together. And you can do this alone, of course. You can change the rhythm when you're doing self-pleasuring. You can slow down and you can stop and move the energy. When you stop making love, there's lots of other ways to enjoy pleasure. You can enjoy oral pleasure, yoni massage, kissing, whatever you feel inspired to do. Then you can also help her have an orgasm before making love, before penetration, because this, in a way, actually kind of takes the pressure off the guys who think, okay, I have to do it right while we're in penetration so that I can help her have an orgasm. But you can use your hands, you can use your lips and your tongue and whatever else in your body that works together to help her to experience orgasms before. And also, it tends to take the pleasure off of her of thinking, I need to have my orgasm before he comes in 5 minutes and it's over. And then I know I'm going to be frustrated. And a lot of women get to the point like, why bother having sex with a guy who's coming in 5 minutes and I just finish more frustrated and not having had any type of deep connection. And it's not only about the orgasm, it's about going deeper into love, deeper into intimacy. So extend the foreplay. Guys, slow down, Okay. I know we want to enjoy that feeling of penetration because it's so powerful. But the slower we go, the more control we have. And for men, the first few seconds to about the first 15 minutes are the hardest time to control ejaculation. Once we've been having sexual stimulation and especially penetration for about 15 minutes or anywhere around there, it depends on the individual. But for that amount of time, we start to get more used to this influx of sexual energy, this increased sexual energy by ourselves, but especially when we're with a female. And if we do this by slowing down, we get used to the energy and then we can start to pick up the pace if that is what's right in the moment. But slowing down and stopping, it's like a beautiful dance. And each time you stop, you can move the energy consciously with all these techniques that I'm talking about. So extending the foreplay also gives that woman, remember, who is like water and takes a longer time to get to boiling. If you give her more time and longer foreplay with lots of stimulation, then there's a greater chance for her to have a beautiful experience through one of these profound orgasms that we're talking about.